Oh yeah, we've got quite the tale to explore here on LGR today. It's a story about three sisters who were witches, and they come back to life hundreds of years later in the city of Salem, Massachusetts, where Bette Midler and... Oh wait, what? Oh, so it's not that... Oh, okay. Well, the person off camera there that does not exist informs me that this is the wrong thing I'm describing here. We're not taking a look at Hocus Pocus. No, we're taking a look at...
Hocus Pocus, developed by Moonlight Software in conjunction with Apogee Software and published by Apogee in 1994 for DOS PCs. This is one of these shareware games designed by Mike Voss, who before this was known for Clyde's Adventure. Hocus Pocus is one of the few Apogee titles I didn't get to try until only a handful of years ago, but I played the crap out of Clyde as a kid, so when I did get around to this, it felt mighty familiar. That's a review for another day, though, because this is Hocus Pocus, Abracadabra, Newport News, Walla Walla, Washington. This is also the FormGen retail version of the game, which came with the full version in a box sold in stores, so you didn't have to order it directly from Apogee. Inside the box, you get some gaming magic on a 3.5-inch high-density floppy disk, some cardboard that feels exactly like cardboard, and a lovely color manual. FormGen's manuals were always great, and I still love thumbing through these things just to reminisce, even if it's a game I have zero nostalgic connection to. Pocus Hocus begins with a plea that you don't copy that floppy, and a splash screen showing an evil monk doing the first part of the YMCA. Next, you're given the main menu, complete with a Starfield screensaver in the background and a selection of options that spell broil chick. Just thought you should know. If you feel like reading the game's fiction, written by none other than Tom Hall, then you can do that, and it's quite the silly story indeed. You play a mage wannabe named Hocus Pocus who wants to be a magician of the land of Lattice so he can join the Council of Wizards and get good tables at restaurants. Yeah, and there's some token true love that you can't marry until you do because, I don't know, why not? Of course, there's some dude in charge that thinks you suck and can never become a council member and forces you to complete a series of useless tasks in order to prove your worthiness. Yeah, the gist of the story is about as phoned in as it gets, but the writing itself is delightfully absurd and full of smirk-inducing jokes, so it's cool. But yeah, you've got 4 episodes to play through and 3 difficulties to choose from. Easy is really easy, moderate is really moderate, and hard is really hard, so props to the designers for their excellence in difficulty distinction. Hocus Cadabra begins with you standing outside of a castle, while a pop-up throws words at you that involve the goal of the game. Basically, a specific number of vaguely important crystal balls exist in the most inopportune locations on each level. It's up to you to find them, because reasons. Reason being that wizard douche, and he'll frequently show his impressively bearded face just to taunt you and tell you how lame you are, but just ignore him and start walking because an adventure awaits. And it may not be Clyde's adventure, but it sure does feel similar in certain ways. For one, it's the same type of tile-based side-scrolling, with walking speed, controls, and very particular physics that makes the game feel purposely limited. And you're constantly solving puzzles that involve switches and disappearing walls, as well as collecting gems and other valuables, so the Clyde similarities are clear. However, the big difference here is that you also have combat, and enemies that often spawn in massive quantities at once. And I've got to say, this really adds a lot to the experience, both good and bad. Good because it gives you something to do in between navigating intricately designed castles, and because otherwise the game would be too easy. Bad because it gets old, hitting the fire button so dang much. Thankfully, you can pick up lightning bolts in order to shoot more shots at a time, but you're still pressing the button once for every shot, and there are rapid-fire power-ups that enable some seriously satisfying firepower, especially when you jump while shooting or aim directly up to just annihilate things from the sky, but it still gets old. Because there's just so much of it, and the enemies rarely do anything interesting enough to force you to change up the strategy of smash the Alt key. Does it bother me that much, though? Nah, not really. It's just a thing to complain about because I had indigestion and I was in a grumpy mood when I played this. I'd just prefer if there was some variety to it, that's all. Oh, I almost forgot, there is, but it's so uncommon and underwhelming that it's barely worth mentioning. You occasionally get fireballs that fly through and disintegrate entire groups of enemies without stopping, but you only get 3 from each rare pickup, and there are dozens and dozens of enemy spawn points per level. But anyway, once you surrender to the fact that your keyboard is going to turn you in for abuse after playing this game, Abracapocus really is a satisfying little platformer. Mainly due to the puzzle-solving elements, very much like Clyde, but a little bit less sadistic. I love me some tasty logic puzzles, and the ones here, while nothing earth-shattering, have a distinct punctual flavor about them. And what I mean is, they never truly outstay their welcome. Just when one starts to get irritating, you'll probably just figure it out, and then maybe you'll stumble into a little secret puzzle that lets you enjoy the treasures of a secret room, and that always tickles the brain's pleasure spots. This is one of those games that with each level it makes you think, oh no, look at all those rooms I can't get to, what the nutsack? And then a few minutes later you're like, yeah, that wasn't too bad, I guess I don't fail as a human being after all. In another nice touch, every 2 levels, the scenery, music, and monsters all change. Sometimes they do recycle assets from previous levels, but the combination is always different, which really helps distract you from the repetitious button-thrashing combat. Throw in some boss battles in the occasional level composed almost entirely of teleportation navigation, and Hocus Pocus is a game that changes up enough elements throughout its episodes to keep things interesting without being too interesting, if that makes sense. There's really nothing that strikes me as particularly unique or groundbreaking about it, and once it's over, you're probably not going to be thinking about it too much. But then again, I don't think it cares, and is instead just happy being a competent, puzzly action platformer. It's an iterative game that sticks with the formula already established, but it's also got ugly monsters to shoot, shinier graphics, some catchy music, and puzzles that satiate without wearing you down too much. It's also still available for sale from 3D Realms and on GOG.com, so if you're curious about it, then go ahead, check it out from the comfort of your internet connection. I can't guarantee it'll smother you in awesome sauce or anything, but I find it incredibly charming, and if the phrase didn't make me gag, I'd say it's even a bit magical. But no, that's lame. Instead, I'll just say it's pretty friggin' fun, and leave it at that. And if you enjoyed this review and would like to hear me talk some more, well, you're in the right place. I talk in pretty much all of my videos, and I have covered a ton of other games, lots more from Apogee, and there's a bunch more on the way. You can also follow and interact on Twitter and Facebook for that kind of stuff if you are interested in the social thing. You can also support LGR on Patreon, which allows you to see episodes like this before anywhere else, as well as some other perks that are hopefully of value. And it just helps the show continue on in its current form and expand and all that good stuff that it allows me to do. Yay! And as always, thank you very much for watching.